My stepdad locked me out on my 18th birthday, and my whole neighborhood stepped in fast. What do you think of parents who kick their kids out the moment they turn 18? My neighbor Marco was counting down to graduation, but his stepdad Dave was counting down to Marco's birthday. We live in a working-class neighborhood where most kids go straight to work after high school. Marco was different. He was great at math, kept a perfect GPA, and stayed up late drawing designs and building little models from scrap. His mom loved it. She'd sit with him and ask questions like she was his first customer. Then she got cancer and died 2 years ago, and everything in that house changed. After that, Dave started acting like Marco's plans were a joke, and he'd call the sketches kid stuff every time he saw them. The week Marco turned 18, Dave got mean in this quiet way. At dinner, he'd say things like, "Better get ready for real work," and "Construction starts at 6 in the morning." Marco didn't argue. He just stared at his plate and kept studying after dinner like he could outrun the problem. Sometimes he'd show me his acceptance emails on his phone. Full scholarships to State University. He kept saying, "I just need a place to stay until summer. Then I'm out." On a freezing February afternoon, Marco came home from school and his key wouldn't work. He tried again and again until his fingers hurt. Then he heard the garage door open. Dave was in the driveway, loading black garbage bags into his pickup. The garage was open too, and Marco could see his whole room piled in a corner. His bed frame in pieces, his desk, his clothes, even his notebooks. Marco's voice shook. "What's going on?" Dave didn't look up. "You're 18. You're a man. Time to make your own way." Marco held up his phone. "I got acceptance letters. Full ride. I just need somewhere to stay until summer." Dave finally turned and gave him this cold stare. "College is for rich kids and dreamers," he said. "I got you a spot at the construction site. Real work, real money. That was our deal." Marco's face went blank. There had never been a deal. It was just Dave deciding Marco would follow him, and if Marco didn't, then Marco was ungrateful. Marco swallowed and said, "Mom wanted this." Dave's jaw tightened. "Don't use her," he snapped. That night, Marco showed up at our door with a backpack and nowhere else to go. My mom pulled him inside right away. My dad grabbed his keys and said, "Let's get your stuff before it disappears." We drove back and found Marco's things still in the garage. Dave wasn't home, so we worked fast and quiet. Marco kept stacking his drawings on top of everything, like they mattered more than the furniture. When we got home, Mom set up the pull-out couch and handed him a blanket. Marco sat down and just stared at the floor for a long time. Word spread on our street. People noticed. Ms. Reynolds next door altered a couple of her late husband's suits so Marco would have something decent for interviews. Mr. Guzman at the local garage offered Marco weekend work. Our school counselor helped Marco file paperwork so he could get financial aid without Dave's help, and she found emergency grants for books and fees. Marco didn't waste any of it. He worked weekends, studied every night, and even tutored my little brother in calculus at our kitchen table. Sometimes I'd walk in late and find him asleep with the textbook open and a pencil still in his hand. Dave wasn't done. He started driving slow past our house, like he wanted Marco to feel watched. One day, Marco came home quiet and said Dave had stopped him outside school and hissed, "You're making a fool of yourself playing student." Marco told him, "I'm earning this," and Dave laughed in his face. Another time, Dave called our house phone and demanded to talk to him. My mom said no, and Dave said, "He's not your problem," like Marco was broken property. 2 weeks before graduation, Dave showed up at our door. He smelled like beer, not falling down drunk, but loud and brave in a nasty way. Marco was at our table with his portfolio open, making notes for a scholarship interview. Dave didn't even say hello. He pointed at Marco and said, "You're embarrassing the family. Everyone's talking about my son being homeless and begging for handouts." Marco stood up slow and straight. Dave's voice rose. "You think you're better than me with those college letters? Your mother filled your head with nonsense." The moment he said, "your mother," Marco's shoulders went stiff, but his voice stayed steady. "I'm not homeless," he said. "I found people who actually support me." Dave's face went dark. "You'll fail. First semester, you'll come crawling back." Marco looked him right in the eye and said, "I won't be coming back." Then he stepped to the side and held the door open until Dave turned around and walked off into it.